What's good, yeah, and welcome to another vid. So, hero buffs are on the menu and we can pick. First off though, the Elder buff is confirmed and we should get that very soon. Now, what exactly am I talking about? Let's check it out together. Right here we have the Pioneer vote for Classic Hero Revamp, where you can cast your vote on any of these 8 heroes to decide on who should get buffed first. All heroes should get buffed eventually, but the question is, who do we want to buff first? So how about we go over every single character and try to decide who you could say needs it the most? Want to know how to vote? Just in the pinned comment down below, you can click on it and it will take you straight there. Or who would use, I would like to say, has the highest potential, right? Who has the highest potential of yielding interesting results, right? So let's just start one by one right here. We just start with the fighter, see who we can find first. And if I'm not wrong, the first one should be Arrogance. Unless obviously I missed someone, but no, it should be Arrogance. So let's have a look at Arrogance. It's been a while since Arrogance was truly relevant in a high tier endgame sense. He's always been relevant in like pretty much standard content where you just need someone with range, someone with AoE, someone to just take care of business. He's always been there, but his damage ceiling was always kind of around the 100 million mark, and then Hex and Kigiri and Wukong and Numera and everybody else just kept blowing past. So Arrogance would probably be the one to, in my opinion, be the best to be buffed, because he has like the strongest base kit, he could get the strongest form, and there's also probably been a couple of you who've also been pulling on multiple Arrogance banners to improve him, and there also stands to be a chance that, for example, they could also further increase the Lust buff. Another thing is that we just recently got a Arrogance skin, and with Arrogance getting more useful, the skin would also, I guess, be better for those that went out of their way to buy it. But yeah, basically Arrogance would probably be the best choice because he's the most relevant and I think he has the most potential. But now, what if, because he's already to a degree, you could say, so strong, what if they only give him a minor buff rather than a major buff, and we're now trading in like Arrogance getting 5% stronger versus, let's say, someone else getting that much stronger. So let's check out number 2, Valeriya. So Valeriya, the only things I can think of are going to be Epilogue stage 6, so because she can take care of these like whirlwind monsters before she dies, and then obviously potentially Arena, but it's been a while since you've seen her as like the true meta, and outside of that it would obviously have to be Gear Dungeon 2, right? Gear Dungeon 2, but even then, ways been found, more than enough ways to where Valeriya isn't even necessarily all that needed anymore. And once again, I'm not the biggest fan of this skin, I don't know, but hey, she does have a skin, so it should be extra motivation, shouldn't it? So yeah, Valeriya. Overall, it kind of feels like she's too cumbersome to use when it comes to like endgame content, because you always run the risk of just murking her. You always run the risk of using her ult and her just ending up dying. So they could technically work on that, or they could just massively increase her damage ceiling, because even if you play everything perfectly, you're still nowhere close to like the top damage dealers, and she is pretty much a single target hero. And yeah, it's been a while since Valeriya was in the limelight. Now, if I had to pick between Arrogance and Valeriya, who would I like to see buffed first? I don't know, I think Valeriya would be even better in my opinion, like for me personally, than buffing Arrogance. We could also finally potentially get like a 2 range, right? 2 range shouldn't be that out of the question, and then just like overall reworking this, there should be enough possibilities to make this happen. Alright, I think we do have a third fighter, and someone that you could say somewhat surprised me, and that is Xena. If you've ever played with Xena, you know Xena is by herself truly powerful. Like, she can annihilate, especially in the tower, she can almost, you could say, solo stages. Though the real issue's always been endgame content punishing units that get placed in and taken out, with like the extra cooldown upon them being able to be placed in again. And that was something that always kind of hurt Xena. Xena is a hero that just naturally becomes stronger the more times you place her. And yeah, permanently increases the hero's damage by with each deployment. So it's always been a bit of a sad thing, but it also makes sense because otherwise like the placement strategy would be just too much. You could potentially give her immunity to increased redeployment time as a buff, right? Like that would work well. And I mean, on the damage side of things, she already shreds, but I guess you could up her single target capabilities even more if you wanted to. Like, she would definitely be an interesting target for a buff that I don't quite know where the devs would take her. But I also feel like she's in a similar boat to Arrogance, where she's already so strong that whatever kind of buff we're getting would just end up being minor. So, alright, these were the 3 fighters we could have taken a look at. Now, let's check out our next category and see if we even have anyone in here, and that would be tanks. And yes, tanks, we do have one, and that is Ghan. We have Ghan. They intend to buff Ghan. Now, is it a good idea? Is that necessary? Will that help anyone? Number one, I would say probably don't vote for Ghan just because of scarcity. Yes, it would be great if your own Ghan got buffed, but I don't think it benefits enough people to the point where it's worth it, because getting a Ghan still, there's probably a lot of you who still don't have a Ghan, and for them it would be like, what's this buff? Doesn't do anything for me, doesn't help me. So picking a hero that is more common, that more people have access to, would definitely be a better decision. But okay, let's talk about what Ghan has and what he could be lacking and what they could increase. Overall, Ghan is still the tankiest motherfucker in the whole realm, especially with that physical magic damage reduction and also the ability to basically block 1 million people. Okay, it's not 1 million people, but yeah, his ability to increase his block by 3 from a base of 3, then 4, so 7. Like, blocking 7 on a 15-second duration is just incredible. And also this one right here, insensibility. Triggers when HP drops below 30%. If the hero takes damage below 25% max HP, the damage will be reduced to 10. And this one isn't even permanent, it's just a cooldown. And then obviously you could like increase the threshold. Like, this one is one of the scariest passives alive. I'm not quite sure how much better you could make Ghan and in which direction you should take him, because he's really good at what he does, and that is being a tank and just chunking damage. Maybe you could make him even tankier so he like competes with Brocky a bit more, but even then, I don't know. maybe give him like shield generation somewhere in there, like gets a shield with a tag or gets like max HP with a tag, so it becomes even more tanky. I'm not quite sure, but I don't think Ghan is the best choice to be picked here. There definitely has to be a better one to be made. So let's go into the next category. And let's see, do we have any marksmen? No, we actually don't. There are no marksmen on the schedule or on the table to be buffed. And for our first mage, you know, it's a little sad. It's a little sad that Big Boy Zealous didn't make it on there, but Kria did. So, Kria, would I like to see a Kria buff? I gotta be honest with you here. I feel like a buffed Kria would almost be a carbon copy of Beatrix. Beatrix is very strong, but even then, like, even if they give her the full Beatrix treatment in power level, Beatrix still doesn't quite have a place in 124, right? I mean, they would have to heavily rework the application of anti-heal, from taking it away from the A1 and making it like a legit part of her kit. They would have to massively up her damage numbers. And yeah, I mean, I did hear that with like A5 Krias, there were some periods during GVG where people were actually using her. But I gotta be honest with you here, Kria would need to make a massive jump. And even then, I feel like she would just end up being Beatrix 0.01 or like 0.1 or 0.2. I don't know. I don't think they would even buff her so much that she would be better than Beatrix, because Beatrix already got like a massive overhaul. But I guess everything is possible. And yeah, I would say she's definitely in the upper half of those that should be considered to be buffed, right? Should be considered to be buffed. How about, let's see, who next? We do have another mage, someone you don't really hear about, Kade. So Kade is in consideration to be buffed. I guess he would make sense because to a degree he's quote-unquote more common than Ghan, but let's be real here, actually hunting, let's say he becomes really strong, actually hunting for non-lord ancients is even harder than it is to hunt for lords. And I don't know, Kade always been a weird one. He never really had a place. I wouldn't know where they would take him. Maybe they would just like increase his damage, maybe increase like these chance multipliers. But I mean, Kade's always been a weird one. I don't know. But I personally wouldn't vote for Kade. So yeah, I don't have much to say about him. He's like a weird mix between single target and actually being useful in arena and then seeing some plays in GVG and then he kind of just disappears again. He's just a weird guy. He is just a weird guy. So let's check out the next options, and there we actually have two. Number one, a limited unit, which, let's be real here, most of you probably don't have unless you were crazy enough to pick Gwendolyn doing your pick your own legendary banner during the anniversary, because I think that's the only time she ever reran now, right? So doing your pick your own legendary banner, I don't think any of you actually reasonably picked Gwendolyn. And yeah, I hope they don't come out with a crazy Elder rework and a crazy Gwendolyn rework, and then Elder only works if you run him together with a Gwendolyn. Like, I feel like Gwendolyn is probably even more limited than Ghan is, as in she is a limited and nobody picked her. So I don't know, but what she could definitely use is the ability to actually provide goddamn shields. Like, she's meant to be this like big shield provider, but it never really ends up working. Her healing is like bare minimum. It just doesn't work. And also the fact that it's only like grants a shield to one ally, and then each of the surrounding allies gains a shield with half the strength. But outside of like the surrounding ones, what about the rest of the team? What about the rest of the team? So yeah. Also look at this. Do look at the multipliers. When the shields for allies are gone, the targets will restore 10% max HP. Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, she would definitely be in order for a buff, but I definitely wouldn't pick her just because of scarcity. Which brings us to the last target, and that is Eunomia. Eunomia obviously being an Arbiter, obviously being in the same boat as Kade, but it feels like Eunomia should be better. So Eunomia, before everything else, she was thought to be a cleanser for Guild Boss 2, but she never really truly was able to cleanse, because this one is just random, can hit the same people, and it has way too long a cooldown. Then she turned out to be the best healer, at least for the healer codex, and everybody was kind of happy at least again with her. But now we have Nerissa, now we have Aelin, and she's kind of like, yeah, she's getting competition from the Sunday. That's in the kind of spot Eunomia currently is. So buffing her definitely wouldn't be a bad idea. But once again, she is an Arbiter. She is a healer. So we already have, as I said, Nerissa and potentially Aelin to just do what she does. Yeah, Elowen is a thing. So I guess out of all the heroes to be buffed, my pick would have to be between probably Valeriya and Arrogance, just for like interest of what they do with them. Xena would be fun, but I feel like it would only be a small buff. Ghan, I don't know if you really need to do much to Ghan. Then Kria, as I said before, is probably gonna end up like being like a Beatrix or something. And then let's see. Yeah, Kade would just be weird. So how about we check out who's currently leading the ranking, so we can see if we actually as a community need to like go in and change the rankings, because there is 1,000 votes already. I'm a bit scared. I'm a bit scared by what I'm about to see. So let's go in. Let's leave our vote on Valeriya. You can put down in the comments who you think is going to be the highest voted right here, but here we go. It is Arrogance by a mile. So if we wanted to get it rid of Arrogance, we would have to get like 200, 300, 400 people to vote here. I mean, once again, if you're interested to vote yourself, the link to the voting is down below in the pinned comment. And yeah, I think it was an interesting topic, interesting video. I wonder, they did say they wanted to buff all of them eventually, so I wonder how long that's going to take. And yeah, I mean, if nothing changes, if y'all don't want to see Valeriya win, it looks like we're getting a Arrogance buff.